You know why? Because he's now a Super Bowl
I told you Friday morning. I guarantee you his wife got to him. Because when you're not married, Connie, you don't understand. I guarantee you there are events where your wife says to you.
Well, he was married this season.
Yeah, but he never, ever had a Super Bowl parade to do that. And remember, what was he told after week 4? After week 5 with the Cleveland Browns? Calm your ass down, dude. Stop with the...
No,
don't
Nick,
make yourself,
say the F word.
Don't make yourself... don't make yourself a spectacle. And, Nick, there are millions of coaches that have won championships that didn't feel the need to curse. So I think he was given the warning. I think his wife was
So you're proud of him.
I want Nick Sirianni's mouth washed out with soap by the end of the time he's done his next parade
Now,
speech.
a couple of bets from Salciunas Sportsbook that nobody won. BG was not the fur coat wearer of Chris Long.
Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat wore the fur coat that Chris Long wore at Super Bowl 52's parade. And drunkest Eagle, I think I said Landon Dickerson.
Nolan Smith, right?
He won. Yeah,
he
yeah. But none of us said Nolan Smith.
No.
But
Nolan Smith, Smith had himself a time.
Now, I was told the cameras don't tell the tale that Quinyon Mitchell gives a run.
Oh, Q.
Oh, no, the camera told
for
the
Nolan
tale.
Smith. See, I didn't see the coverage of that.
Oh, there was a video. I think it was Fox went up to him with a microphone and was like, "Yo, how are you feeling?" And James Bradberry actually got in between and was like, "Go Birds, go Birds."
Wait a minute. James Bradberry broke something up?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, because he knew that Q was obliterated, and maybe he was like, let me get in front of this now before he says something bad.
I just never saw James Bradberry do anything like that, actually disrupt something.
He did 2 years ago when he was an All-Pro. 3 years ago.
So he was holding it. Was he holding him at the time?
Wow.
Why are we taking shots at a guy that's a Super Bowl champion?
Just wondering.
I have no beef with James Bradberry. He got old and he couldn't cover anymore. He was a great Eagle 3 years ago. He's an All-Pro.
Just don't be handsy.
I don't even blame him for that play.
Okay.
Don't be handsy.
You're taking
Q was
James
hammered,
Bradberry shots?
Come on, he had nothing to do with this championship. Come on now.
He helped coach.
He had nothing to do with it.
All right. Well, he helped save Quinyon Mitchell from maybe saying something bad on the
Could
camera.
have been.
All right. So I am disappointed in John and Connor today. I was disappointed in them all weekend.
Good.
You know,
glad to see it lingered.
I wanted to go home and enjoy myself this weekend.
Nobody was stopping you, Connor. We weren't stopping
First weekend
right?
without football, and instead, because I had no football to watch, I had a lot of time to my thoughts, and that's a dangerous place to be. The mind of Andrew Salciunas. You can get lost in there quickly, and then stay there for a long time.
I bet.
But last week, all I said was how the Eagles could become a dynasty because they won the Super Bowl, and then obviously they are built. We remember that we read that article 2 weeks ago that broke down all the contracts and the core and how this could be something special for years to come.
Sure.
And all I uttered was the word could, the C word. And yet I was shot down immediately.
And on social media
by
this
both
morning.
John Kincade and Connor Thomas and cowardly Eagles fans on social media this morning.
They just want to talk about reality, talk about things that are of interest. There's so many things that are of interest.
This is interesting. If they win this year, which they could, they are built to potentially
then
get
they
back.
only have to win one more to be a dynasty.
Well, that's your definition.
So, in other words, 2 more wins. We're talking about that. Yes, it is. It's the definition of a dynasty. It's not 2 wins.
There is no definition.
There's no finite definition of a dynasty.
You guys can make any if you want. Talk to a professional athlete. 2 would not tell you. I guarantee you they would not say 2.
They also don't make the finite definition, John. This is an argument based on these intangible things.
This is called I want something to fit, so I'll shoehorn it into fitting what I want it to.
Hell yeah, man.
No.
I'm going to make this happen. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl 60, I'm going to paint Dynasty on my chest. And I'm going to come in the next day and you're going to tell me it's not a dynasty?
Ridiculous. They win
the day after the Eagles win the Super Bowl 60?
When they win their 3rd, you can have this conversation. It's just silly. It's just silly.
I don't know how it's silly when I say the word could and you shoot me down immediately.
Well, there could be anything. They could go 5-12 next year.
They could.
They could lose their quarterback in game 1. There are all these coulds. We could talk about a million of them that, by the way, are more. Let's talk about this. When we get to the 2nd, I'll gladly consider the 3rd.
Wow.
Not going to consider.
And
I'm not going to start counting losses to a dynasty, which is the weakest ass thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, I'd just like to make a quick guarantee here on this day, February 17th, 2025. Eagles aren't going 5-12.
Okay,
I would like to put the guarantee on that right now. That's the one thing I feel confident about.
You picked up a dumbbell.
You did.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't believe they will either. I'll tell you, much like I did in May of this year, I'll look at it and I'll tell you where they will be after I see free agency and the draft. I'll tell you where they'll end up. I told you guys you had to work on a certain Sunday in January. You did. Now, that was as far as I was willing to go. And around halfway through the season, I thought, yeah, that's about where it'll potentially putter out. And then all hell broke loose.
Well, of course, once you start making reservations.
Well, the turnovers is really what sort of brought it into. I still can't get over the way this team all of a sudden.
They had two the first 6 weeks?
And then it became a turnover. They were just a turnover monster.
Yeah, they taxed.
And to me, that was the most incredible thing. Like all of a sudden, they turned that spigot on and it never shut off. It was awesome. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, so before the show started.
Yeah.
I was taking notes. I was the guy. Who was the guy that ended up putting out the Orlando Arcia story? Do we remember? Was it John Boy? I forget.
No. It was the guys from Cespedes Family
That's
Barbecue.
What it was.
One of the guys.
Yeah, and he Attaboy Harper.
Yes.
And Travis Darno.
It's
a sanctuary.
The clubhouse is a sanctuary.
Arcia tried denying it.
Stop it.
It's ridiculous.
Stop it.
So before the show, you said something. I immediately said, let me take note of that.
Really?
You believe.
I told you about a great restaurant I went at that.
No, it wasn't that.
Wasn't that?
So I want to say this right now. I agree with you.
Okay.
Because I have the backs of my co-hosts.
Yeah.
And my coworkers.
Okay.
But, apparently I'm the only one around here.
What do we got?
You say that when the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it makes for a more interesting offseason.
Yes.
And explain yourself, because, again, I took note of it, but I would like you to explain it.
Because I think any discussion, much like could they be a dynasty? Those type of discussions are far more positive than, could they turn this thing around? Last year, we spent 6 months preparing for a bird season. And honestly, the majority of the discussions began on a negative point.
Yes.
Every discussion of this offseason, I can't think of the ones that would begin on a negative point. So to me, it's a more interesting offseason because I think it brings more people to the table when they feel like the discussions are positive. The discussions are, look what we potentially could see happen this year. Look how loaded we are. Because so many things were proven last year.
Right.
And for someone like me, Connor looks at things more gray area. I look at things as, what did you show me? Let's see your work. And to me, this team showed so much of its work and showed so much to be like freaking bouncing off the walls about.
Right.
That I think it makes for a great offseason of talk because people will be all engaged. Everybody will remember that feeling of Friday.
Yeah.
And wow, was it awesome.
See, now I agree with you, and you know me. I love when things are going well. Right? There's the old notion that you guys like it when things are bad because you get higher ratings. Like, no, A, that's factually incorrect. And B, I can't live a life of misery. I can only imagine what sports talk radio must have been like 20 years ago when nothing was really good. I obviously the Eagles were good 20 years ago. I'm trying to think of actually, I could even talk about I was here for it. Like during the dog days when the Phillies weren't making the playoffs, Chip Kelly was the head coach, the Sixers were in the process, and the Flyers were in and out every other year. That sucked. I don't want that anymore, right? I want what we have now with the Eagles. Even though the Phillies have been disappointments in the playoffs, I want my team to be contenders for their division title year in and year out. The Sixers were there a couple of years ago. The Flyers are hopefully getting there down the road. So I agree with you. They were there.
And they lost the second round.
Yep.
They weren't even in the mix.
But I think you're wrong.
Okay.
In terms of the masses.
Let me hear about this.
Well, I will explain more coming up on the other side.
That sounds ominous.
I think the masses actually disagree with your opinion.
Count me as one of the masses.
Wow.
See, I knew it.
I'm shocked.
We'll discuss this more
shocked
coming
that
up
the
next.
Golden Retriever is going to change on this.
I think
thank you for breakfast, Con.
I think more people are interested in fixing than retaining.
Wow.
And I've gotten that sense.
Maintaining is what I would call it. But that's the same thing, same concept.
I think more people are interested in fixes.
Okay.
And I'll explain more coming up next. We'd love to hear from you on any of our topics today. It's 610-632-0975. Are you cowardly like John and Connor when I just bring up the Dynasty?
Thank you so much for checking out our content on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can always be checking the playlist. There may be something you missed from one of our shows during the day that you want to go back and check out. So every time you like a video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll have that great content coming to you every single day. You're greatly appreciated.